Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We welcome you to another webinar, and we're going to go into the details of this webinar. This is the third part of this beautiful webinar, and I want to thank you all for joining us. So I'm going to start sharing my slide, and we're going to begin. Okay, so I'm gonna do present. Okay.
Hello everyone. I'm Florence Weideman. I'm the Chief of Staff of Berlin Foundation, and this is the third part of our ESL series. And today we're going to be covering self-management, managing our emotions and behaviors so that we can achieve our goals. Next slide, please. So, in this, So in self-management, it's really about controlling our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in order to achieve what our specific goals are. So this is not about ignoring our emotions or pretending we don't feel things. It's about managing them in order for us to achieve the goals we want to achieve, complete the tasks we need to achieve, and to help us stay the course even when things pop up and make it difficult to maintain. So make sure we're having focus on what we want to achieve. So some of the key aspects of self-management ESL in these three categories, we have our goal setting and achievement. So in our goal setting and achievement, that is setting realistic goals and creating those step-by-step plans. And then we also have motivation and initiatives, making us stay focused even if there's external pressure, and organizational skills. And we're going to dive a little bit more into each of these categories in our next couple of slides. So as we move on to the next slide, as we're talking about goal setting and achievement, we're going to see how we can actually set appropriate goals for ourselves. So, with goal setting and achievement, we have SMART goals. So many of you some of you may be working in New York City public schools or may have went to New York City public schools, and if so, you'll be familiar with this. This is very good and very amazing. And I don't think schools are actually really explaining how good this is in terms of goal setting and achievement. So SMART goals stand for S, specific, M, measurable, A, achievable, R, relevant, and T, time bound. So if we have goals that we want to achieve, oftentimes we have nebulous goals like, I want to be healthier. What does that mean? What are the specifics about that? I want to be healthier is a very vague goal. Or I want to have a better relationship with my kids. That's a very vague thing. It does, if you're too vague about your goals, how are you able to do specific action to achieve it? So that's why S, specific, is very important. So health wise, I want to be healthier. Let's make that more specific, right? Specific goal. I want to have a diet that is composed of food that is far less processed food, whole foods in my diet, and I want to have less sugar and more fiber, protein. That's a far more specific goal, right? So now we're going to say measurable. So that means something I can measure, right? Saying, I just want to be healthier. How are you going to measure that? So maybe you, instead of here or there, instead of taking a cookie, you eat a banana, right? Now, does that mean that you are healthier? Some people would say, yes, I'm healthier. I took a banana instead. Some people would be like, well, I still don't exercise. I still kind of eat, processed food. So that's why making sure it's measurable, right? Achievable. Is this something that is possible for me to do? If I'm having a goal where I want to eat healthier, but I am allergic to maybe several different foods, then I need to make sure that it is achievable for the confines of what I need to eat or what can be healthy for me, right? So make sure it's achievable. Or say, I want to be able to run a 5 minute mile. Is that a realistic goal for you at this present moment? If you're running a mile in 16 minutes, maybe a 5 minute mile is not a realistic goal, right? So we're setting ourselves up for failure. So let's make sure we are having our goals achievable for what we can do. Relevant. Make sure they're relevant for yourself. If I'm having a goal to eat healthier, but I'm already having a diet that's largely full of non-processed foods, I'm eating whole foods, I'm not overeating, I don't eat snacks all the time. Sure, maybe you go to the movie theaters and maybe you get some popcorn. Maybe that's not a really relevant goal for you, right? So let's make sure our goals are relevant to what we want to focus on and be better at and time bound. So they have a specific time. So instead of saying nebulously, I want to get healthier, you can have specific goals of like, I want to buy such and such, say maybe 3 months from now, maybe this by maybe a month from now, I want to be able to successfully remove a lot of processed foods I eat in my regular diet with whole food options. So, because that takes time, right? Okay. Oh, I eat a lot of fried chicken, for example. What's a way I can replace that with something that's healthier for me that I still can enjoy and can eat, right? We're not trying to make ourselves eat food that we absolutely hate, but there are tons of food that are healthy for us that we can find. So, right? So give yourself a time frame to do that in so that you can also see at the end of that time frame, have you achieved your goals? By making your goal setting this way, it makes it so that you are clear on what you're supposed to achieve. You're far more clear on the action you're supposed to take to achieve that goal. It's relevant for you so you're able to achieve it, and you can check in the time frame whether or not you achieve that goal. It's okay, you can stay there. And so next, as we had in that list, was motivation and initiative. So, right, we have goals when we set those goals. However, we need to make sure our motivation and initiative ties with those goals. So, in order to do that, we need to make sure we are creating routines that we can follow regardless of our current motivation levels, right? So, sometimes you may be really energized, especially at the beginning, to say you want to work out more, right? You could be really motivated at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do all this stuff. Over a certain amount of time, you're going to be like, you're going to wake up one morning like, oh, I don't want to get up and do this. I think I'm just going to roll over and sleep a little bit more in bed, right? Or, and in that, we want to set up routines so that we can do the things we have to achieve regardless of what our current motivation levels are. So, so that is setting things up. So this is a sample schedule where for potential like parent of child of 8 years, that 8 years plus, that you can do to say to achieve some of your goals. Say in the morning, I want to get a workout in. I want to and I want to be able to pray with my kids and spend some a little bit of time in the morning with my kids. So this could work by saying, oh, if you wake up at 5:30, you get your 30 minutes of workout. You're able to dress yourself up before having kids all run up around you and ask you for everything. Your kids wake up, they get ready, you have some morning prayer with them, and you head them off to school, and then you head off to work. Now, this may not be relevant for everybody's specific situation. Some people may not have young kids anymore, so you may not have to be worried about waking them up anymore. Some people may be older. Some people may have work start later or earlier so that they can push this down some, they can push this up some. But again, right, in this morning routine, will this morning routine be easy to do if we're going to sleep at like 3 a.m.? No, this will be a lot harder to do, right? So if we want to, if in order to achieve the things we want to achieve, we have to wake up at 5:30. That also means that we would have to go to sleep by 9:30 for most people. Most people need at least 8 hours of sleep. Some people need more. Some people can't. There are some people that could go by with less, but that's not the majority of people. So we want to set ourselves up for success. If we want to achieve these goals, we need to make sure we are also setting those stuff up. Oh, If we want our kids to be able to get ready within 30 minutes in the morning, okay, what can we do in the afternoon to make that possible? That would be setting up their clothes the night before, setting up their shoes the night before so that they don't have to do any thinking or guessing game to figure out what they need to wear, or figuring out last minute in the morning that, oh no, all their, say they have uniform, all their clothes are dirty. What are we going to do? So these are things we can do in order to make the things that we want to achieve easier to achieve. What are things we can do to set ourselves up for success? So that this can also tie into those healthy eatings and everything. And we're going to move on to the next slide to also show our organizational skills this. So, as I was mentioning earlier, make your goals and the things you want to achieve the path of least resistance, right? So, for example, if you want to eat healthier, make sure you have access to healthy snacks, right? So, if you want to eat a little something before dinner, okay, well, I have grapes, I have apples, I have oranges, or maybe you like rice cakes, something that is a snack that you can eat, but it's healthier instead of saying that, okay, I'm going to eat this cookie because it's here. Or I don't have quote unquote unhealthy foods in your house. Now, in terms of this, I don't like to use the word saying that all foods are bad and there's foods that you completely can avoid, you should avoid. No, let's not have a mentality of an all or nothing approach all the time. So, but if you really, really, really love cookies and you see a box of cookies and you want to eat the whole thing, maybe don't have them in your house. Maybe it's something that, oh, I go to somebody's birthday party and they have cookies there. I can eat a cookie. Or I go out to something that I don't do regularly. Like maybe I go to a movie once in a month or so and I have a cookie there. So let's not have it be a regular thing that we eat, right? So that way we don't have it in our house, then I don't have it there to eat, right? Or do you want to work out more? Find what's for you with the path of least resistance. Maybe, oh, it's so difficult for me to get up and go to the gym. This is so hard. I'm going to do this. Maybe get some at home equipment for yourself. So dumbbells, bands, things so that you could do a workout in your house. Like, oh, well, I just have to like walk into my living room and then work out. So it gives you that path the least resistance. Or maybe it's just very hard for you to like get the motivation to work out independently or individually. And if I would then sign up for fitness classes, that means, well, at 6 p.m. at this time, I have a fitness class that I have to go to, and it's going to make sure that I work out, right? So give yourself that path the least resistant. What is the thing that's causing you to not achieve the goals you want to achieve? How can you make it like the easiest thing to pick, right? So now there's also, in terms of self-management, impulse control. So there's the importance of pausing before you react. So say, for example, again, our emotions are completely valid. We are allowed to feel the way we are feeling. If you are frustrated, annoyed, irritated, if you're disappointed in a person or in something or in yourself, if you are saddened or if you're excited, we are allowed to feel these emotions, and everything. The important thing is recognizing how we react to these emotions. So we want to make sure, despite how we're feeling, we are still acting appropriately and we are still treating the people around us and ourselves with kindness, compassion, gentleness, patience, all all the fruit of this, all the fruit of the spirit, despite what we are feeling. So a great way to do this is to always pause before you react. So before you do an action, just sit in the feelings, and there are ways that we're going to address and how we can calm ourselves down. Also, with stress management, so it's always important to identify those stressors, as we mentioned first in our first iteration here. We're talking about the importance of identifying those stressors and those triggers. What are those things that can trigger you, and also working to, one, make sure those triggers working so that those triggers don't trigger us as much, as well as working to understand and notice, oh, this is something that is getting me riled up. So we cut it off before the point of explosion. So we cut it off before the pot overflows, right? If we can pay attention and see like, oh, okay, we can take the lid off, right? And like before everything explodes. So this can be also helped with deep breathing, journaling, and we're going to talk about that more in the next coming slides, as well as um, self discipline. So let your yes be a yes, let your no be a no. Follow through with your commitments and responsibilities. This is also important to yourself and to your community, right? If you say you're going to go to someone's birthday party and you're getting up and you're like, oh, I don't feel like going. I kind of just want to stay in bed or I kind of just want to watch TV. I would fight against that and just go anyway, so that you can show that you value your community, value your community members, and show that you follow through with your commitments, right? Now, of course, this is barring serious scenarios where you can't go to a place because of that. But if it's something that you can do, let's avoid canceling at the last minute. Also, let's be responsible to ourselves. If we're telling ourselves that I'm going to go and I'm going to work out at this time, let's show that discipline and commitment to ourselves and follow through, even if at certain times it may be difficult to, right?
Yeah, I think Florence, that's an important point. It's important for us to show up for ourselves. A lot of us don't have issues sometimes showing up for others, but when it's time to show up for ourselves, we don't do that enough. So I think we have to be intentional, even talking about the impulse control after you have already acknowledged your emotions, knowing that, okay, this emotion is running high. Let me feel it. Let me acknowledge it. Let me sit in it and let me not allow it to affect how I'm going to speak to the person next to me. Let me not allow it to affect how I'm going to treat myself. Oh, I'm feeling sad today. Okay, I acknowledge that. What do I need to do to get myself out of that? I'm supposed to go to the gym. And this is something that I had to learn, especially with menopause. I know we've spoken about menopause on this platform before and the different emotions that come at you. And these are emotions that I don't normally feel, like anxiety and all those negative emotions, as we call it. I'm like, why am I feeling like this? But as soon as I realize, exploring the source, what is causing it, it's easier for me to say, okay, I'm feeling this. Okay, but I need to go to the gym. I need to get up and go take a shower. So I still get up and do what I need to do. So I think that is important for us to know. And I know we're gonna talk a little bit later about accountability partner. I don't know if we spoke about it already, but these are really important tools. Thank you so much, Florence, for diving into it. If you guys have any comment, any thought, please put it in the chat. At the end of the presentation, we're gonna speak more and have opportunity to contribute.
And lastly, emotional regulation, as we touched on a little bit, is recognizing those strong emotions and practicing those calming strategies. So if we are feeling a large emotion, be it in any spectrum, it's always important for us to pause before we take any action, right? Because even with emotions of excitement, we can still do things that we can later regret due to the excitement of what's going around. So a great thing to practice is before you do anything physically, before you take a step, before you open your mouth, if you're feeling something, just sit in that emotion, and you can do breathing, boxing. We have several different techniques we can do to emotionally downregulate so that we can be able to make decisions with the full access to our full brain. Because what happens when we are regulating with our large emotions in our brain is that we remove access to our frontal lobe and that is responsible for our decision making and our critical thought. So if we don't have access to this, we are making um, decisions based on our basic our basic impulses. So we're using our brainstem. Our brainstem is responsible for our basic needs. And so if we don't have access to our critical thinking, we can't really make decisions properly. And when we can't make decisions properly, we can do things that we regret or do things that can harm people or do things that may be kind of awkward or maybe we have to pedal back and things like that. So we want to also just make sure we are accessing our full brain when we're making decisions. That's why it's very important that we take a time to calm and be have access so that we can make proper decisions in terms of also self motivation. So that's also maintaining a positive attitude as well as with self motivation. It's always important to not base your motivation on shame. So, like we were mentioning about eating healthier, if your reasoning for eating healthier or exercising more is shame based, it'll not be sustainable. You cannot come from a place of shame. You cannot come like, oh well, I need to look like X celebrity, or I need to do this, or else people are not gonna like me. If you're coming from a place of shame, it is not sustainable. So come from a place of uh internal motivation of I want to eat healthier because I want to just feel better. I feel sluggish. I get bloated all the time. I don't feel good. I just want to feel better, right? In my body, right? Or it's getting harder for me to like get upstairs or to do be as mobile as I used to be. I want to improve my mobility. So we want to make sure we're never coming from a place of shame. And a great way to do that is whenever we also maybe fall off of our goals or fall off our routine instead of being like, oh, I couldn't do this. See, I knew I couldn't do this. This is so difficult and stuff. Let's just say, okay, I had to take clearly I was tired and overworked and I needed to take a break, but I'm ready to get back on it the next day. I missed the workout. It's okay. My next class is this day and I'm gonna go. Or I'm gonna get right back on it the next day, right? So we want to also, instead of shaming ourselves, we want to make sure we're being positive to ourselves so that we can also find that resilience in order to continue and upkeep our goals. Because a lot of these things we want to achieve, sometimes you're not going to see a result in a week, in a month, in months. Sometimes these are years. So, how are we going to maintain our motivation in years, right? So, we want to make sure we are keeping that and making sure it's not based in shame.
Yeah, be gracious to yourself. Very, very important. Be gracious to yourself. If nobody else is gracious to you, you have to treat yourself with tender, loving care. Some of us at times we're so mean to ourselves. When you really think of it, some of the thought we think about ourselves, we have to be intentional in really having that positive attitude. And for some, it may be more difficult than others. For some, it may mean you writing all this positive affirmation all around your house so that you can constantly see it. It's very, very important because this is all about you. You are that one person that has the ability to do this for you. And even when we speak of like the word of God, we have to consistently believe the word of God and speak it over ourselves. Yeah.
So, proper self management can impact us in our academic and work success. So, with good self management skills, we are able to to focus, complete tasks, and manage our anxiety. So, if we are coming from a place of shame, a lot of the times, this is not in every instance, but a lot of the times, anxiety can come from a place of shame. So if we are stressed and worried about how we're going to achieve things, how are we going to do, what it's going to make me look, how people are going to see me, you're this operating from a place of shame. And if we are continuing to shame ourselves, shame does not work into for us achieving our goals. In fact, a lot of the times it actually stagnates us. It causes us to freeze because, well, the thought process usually is if I just do nothing, then there's nothing to be ashamed about. So, like, but it really stagnates us in life. And then in terms of our relationship, it helps in responding thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. So when it comes to the people in our lives, if we are just are constantly reacting in terms of our emotions, right? We can then say things that are harmful to the people in our lives of any ages. Say we have a relationship with children, especially as they are learning how to figure out and how to emotionally regulate. If we are constantly reacting with emotion instead of thinking with them thoughtfully, we are being hostile. We can end up being hostile when we're not supposed to, especially with people and loved ones in our lives. So the assumption is if we have a loved one in our lives, they are not actively trying to harm us, right? Of course, there are people who could be in our lives who are. So we need discernment to make sure those are not those type of people. But if we are in a relationship with someone and we believe they are not actively trying to harm us, if they're doing something that is harmful, let's not attribute something to malice, which we can attribute to ignorance. Maybe they are not knowing how this is harmful, right? So instead of us reacting emotionally, well, oftentimes if we react emotionally with anger, people shut off completely and justify and they get defensive and it doesn't get us anywhere. But if we can think thoughtfully and then explain how something hurt us or something is this or something's inappropriate or this is what I would like you to do next time instead of this, that can be far more fruitful for our relationships. And then also being ready for life. Suffering is a part of life. Difficulties are a part of life. Everybody experiences it. Rain falls on the just and the unjust, right? So we need to build up these habits in order to be ready for the ups and downs of life. So it also builds us in terms of career readiness, personal goals, achieving the things that we want in our lives with our relationship with ourselves. So that's why like self-management is so important. And now we're going to like go into some like examples of this in action. So an example of that self-management would be a parent whose kid accidentally breaks their favorite vase. And instead of going and immediately coming in and yelling and screaming at them, you take that time to calm down. You say, okay, hold on, I'm getting angry. You say to the kid, okay, let's leave this area because you can get hurt on the glass. I'm going to calm down and breathe. And then we're going to talk about it later when I'm calm. And then you can address the kid because we can accidentally scream at them in anger. And then chances are the kid did not break it on purpose, right? So we are attributing to malice something that was just done in ignorance, right? And another example would be a friend who puts reminders on their phone to make sure they're not late to their friend's birthday party. Maybe some of us, I included, are very bad with time naturally. I have to work very hard to make sure I'm on time to things. So I put systems in place to make sure that, especially the things that are very important, I'm on time to those things, right? So if you know you're a person who has difficulty being on time to things that you really need to be on time for, you can set reminders, you can set alarms, you can set these things so that you can make sure that you're on time to events. Plan out ahead of time how long is it going to take me to get there, but what's the latest time I have to be in the car or I have to get to the train or I have to get to the bus to get there so that we can self-manage ourselves to be there for the people in our lives. Another example would be setting a goal to improve your flexibility and doing that by stretching 5 minutes every day. So I'm like, okay, I want to improve my flexibility. How am I going to achieve that goal? I'm going to go and make sure I'm stretching every day for 5 minutes. And over that span of time, you'll see an improvement in your flexibility. Now, as we were mentioning a little bit earlier, calm yourself before you take action. So these are some techniques that are really great for calming and grounding yourself. So there's mindful exercises, breathing, grounding techniques, box breathing. So box breathing is breathing in for inhaling through your nose for 4 seconds, exhaling out your mouth for 4 seconds. This is going to naturally slow down your heart rate, forcing yourself to slow down your breath, and it helps calm you. Another helpful thing is if you're getting heated, if you're getting angry, if you're currently standing, sit down. Sitting down will automatically also help kind of naturally calm your body down. If you're already sitting, lay down. That's also a great way to like kind of quickly calm your nervous system. Another great thing is heel drops and humming. So heel drops is think about if you're standing up and you just lift up and dropping your heels. That's great for your endocrine system and flushing out things and also helps calm your body down. And also humming. So doing that also calms your whole body down because your voice sends vibrations throughout your body, and those are great ways to calm yourself down. Heel drops and humming can calm you down kind of very very quickly, as well as box breathing. And if you have more time, you can also listen to music that calms you. Maybe that might be instrumental music, that might be classical music for you, maybe that's gospel music for somebody, it might be metal music. But whatever calms you down, you can take that time for yourself to make sure that calms you down. And these are some really great techniques physically in your body to really help as go through and calm yourself down so that you can have full access to your brain while you are discussing things that with people as to why things were harmful or what they should do next time.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit. Thank you, Florence, about grounding techniques. Grounding techniques is basically connected with your senses, our five senses. What are the five things you can see around you? Four things that you can touch, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, one thing you can taste. Just going through that process, it's almost like it triggers your brain to focus on something else, even as you try to calm yourself down, and it takes off your focus on whatever it is that is making you hungry, making you upset, or whatever negative emotion or whatever emotion you're feeling that you're trying to sort of reduce its intensity so you can have full access to your brain capacity to be able to think, properly. So yeah, am I going to the next slide?
Yes. So, so in addition to this, we can do emotional check-ins. So with this, I'm feeling, so I will. So if you're feeling a certain thing about something, we can have in our journal an emotional check-in. I'm feeling this thing, so this is what I'll do. Oh, I'm feeling frustrated that my friend says that she cares about me and my events, but she's constantly coming late or she's no showing last minute. So I will have a conversation with them about how this is really hurting me and how it to me it feels like you don't care about our relationship. And I will have a conversation with her. So this also helps put the onus on you, right? So if we are feeling a certain way about what somebody's doing to us or what's going on in our lives, so it can also be doing with ourselves. That means that we need to do a certain action to then facilitate the change. So someone can't know that something is harming us if we don't tell them, or we can't fix something that's harming us if we don't take action, right? So I'm feeling disappointed that I wasn't able to make it to the gym. So it's like, so I will remind myself that I am a human being and sometimes I need rest. Maybe that was a sign that I was just really tired and I needed rest. And I can go back tomorrow. I can go back the next day. One day of loss does not mean I have to throw out everything, right? We think of toddlers when you trying to teach them how to pour things into cups and everything. Sometimes they pour a little bit on the side. They're like, well, I might as well pour everything now, right? And we teach them, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, you got a little spill. Well, let's keep going, and then we can clean the little spill instead of creating everything spilling all over, right? um Time blocking for our work, rest, and fun, right? So um all work, no play makes John a dull boy, right? So we want to make sure we're spending time doing things that we enjoy, spending time with people that we enjoy, investing in our relationships with our friends, with our family, right? Making sure that we are investing time to our own work. So some of you may be having a main job, but maybe there's something you're passionate about. That's a side thing that you want to do. Make sure you're investing time in those things that you enjoy, making sure you're resting. Rest is important, right? If you're exercising and exercising and exercising and you're not spending any time resting, you're not going to build any muscle. The muscle is built in the rest, right? So if you are constantly working, you're working so many hours a week and you're not giving your time to rest, the the muscle is built in the rest. You will break yourself down. Rest is important. Also, fun and enjoyment is important, right? So we want to make sure we're taking time out to do those things, and we're making sure we're portioning that time uh appropriately for our health. And then, as we've been mentioning before, reflections in your journals and tracking your progress. That's also very important for our goals. So track that progress so you can see that difference, right? Um, a big concern with people who are trying to get healthier and in the gym, they're like, I don't see any progress. I don't see anything because maybe they don't look that they don't you're used to how you look, right? You don't see that you don't necessarily always see that difference, but they look at a photo of themselves maybe 6 months ago and they look at themselves now like, oh wow, I actually do look different. I just didn't realize because you're just with yourself all the time. Or maybe you're like, oh, I've been trying to eat healthier and do things better, and I don't think I'm making that much of a difference. But look at a what you used to eat maybe a year ago and see what you eat now. You're like, wow, I did make such a difference. Like, look at all of these different meals that I used to eat, and now this is like the typical meal I have. Or I'm still getting angry and frustrated at my friends in ways that I don't like. But maybe you look back and you're like, oh well, I used to say these mean things to them before, and now I don't do that anymore. Like, I've improved. So that's why it's very good to track your progress so that you can really see how you've improved, and also take note of the setbacks, because if you're taking note of them, you can see how you can improve for the better. And it's not coming from a point of shame, it's coming from a point of what I can do moving forward, right? Okay, so as we go on to our ESL, it's very important to know that ESL really helps us all. Sorry, I'm keep saying ESL. SEL. SEL is very important in our communication, in being active listeners, in just having more fruitful relationships with the people in our lives. And I wanted to ask y'all some questions to kind of like point the conversation and saying like, one thing about making our goals the path of least resistance. Is there any way that you guys are thinking of ways you can make some of your goals the path of least resistance, make them something that's easier for you guys to achieve? Or like, what's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and how can I make that easier for myself? Feel free to unmute
As the
and
people are
feel
getting ready to
free.
meet, I just want to say thank you, Florence. Thank you for taking the time to really share this with us. It's really great information. In the chat, Sister Sheila Green has a message. I love these tips for me being retired. In my mind, I know I don't have to do certain things, but convincing myself to go to the gym on Mondays or lay down in bed all day. No, I can't make that part of my day. I can't let my emotions overtake my mindset. So I love these tips. Thank you. Okay, for free. Okay. Florence, what is the question again? Somebody has something in the chat. Let me read it. Okay. From Musalita Macmillan. Self-care and self-love is the key to healthy lifestyle. Amen. Excellent. Grace Perkin, have someone be your accountability partner. Yeah, that's important. Have somebody be your accountability partner because at times, is you just want to fall by the wayside. And when somebody, for me, especially with gym, having a gym partners, sometimes it's my husband, sometimes it's my friends, sometimes it's my daughters, really help me to stay in the gym. So when I don't feel like going, I'll find someone to drag along with me. And also going to the different classes. The different classes helps me a lot. If I don't have the motivation to go in and do a Viking by myself. But when I know there's a class and a teacher, okay, I said, let me go. So this really also very helpful to me. So, Beverly Delgado, muscle is built in the rest. After your workout, new information for me. I love that. The muscle is built in the rest. That is so good. And then from Mr. Leslie, the importance of time blocking and reflection journals. Yes, very, very important. Time blocking. You have to put yourself on the calendar because you're that important. Put yourself on the calendar. We put everybody and everything. For those of us that use the calendar, I have everything on the calendar. So I have to put myself on the calendar. Okay, so from Miss Macmillan, my daughter and my all-girl flag football team is my workout partner. Excellent. They said they want me to stay beautiful and fit. That's good. Miss Felicia Williams, start vision board and check on your goals. Yeah, the vision board helps because then you see where you are with your goals. A lot of people do their vision board towards the end of the year, the beginning, and then they can see, okay, this is where I am. Okay, I need to work better on this area. So the vision board or whatever goal you set for yourself shouldn't be something that will make you regress, but see it as something like, okay, yesterday has passed, I have today, and I have today, and I'm going to do it better today. And then keep it moving that way. Keep walking, keep moving. Even if it looks like you're crawling, just keep moving, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to also ask, ask y'all to also think about how you can incorporate routines into achieving your goals. And we want to think about how we say like write the vision, make it plain. That applies to so many things in our lives. How we are going to achieve something if we don't have a clear vision of what we want to do. So what like thinking about like what are some ways you can incorporate certain routines for things to help achieve your goals?
I would say definitely use your appointment book if you have one. Your appointment book could be a part of facilitating your goals as reminders and also checkpoints to see how many times you actually met your goals.
And I think another thing is, which I actually did this with the summer youth, is writing down where you are. Okay, you can have a short-term goal, a long-term goal. What do I want to do in 1 month? What do I want to do in 1 year? Where do I want to be in 3 years? Because sometimes when we don't write those things down and see them and see what do I need to do or have in place to move from point A to point B, it seems like it's such a big mountain. But how do you eat an elephant? If people eat elephant, but a little bite at a time. You write the little step of what you have to do. And I think those are things that has helped me, when something seems overwhelming, especially those of us that write grants, right? Miss Delgado, like Miss Florence, you still like, oh my God, this is like 20 pages. This is a lot. But what do? We break it into pieces and then we divide it. Okay, this will be done before this day. This person will do this and like that. And then it becomes easier to do once you write it down and see what you need to do to get to where you need to go. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I'm seeing Sister Rosie's comment about road rage. What's the first to do with um road rage if someone's cutting you off. If you are fuming angry, I agree with Miss McMillan, who was in our UFT workshop. I'm glad you had a good time there. That's really lovely. Yes, if you're really angry, it actually is not, it actually is dangerous to drive very angry. So I would pull over if you're getting very angry. However, in terms of like getting less angry in those situations, again, let's not attribute to malice what we can attribute to ignorance. Oftentimes, someone cutting you off is them just not looking and not being that great of a driver on the road instead of them actively trying to actively make your day awful or bad, right?
I
So
love that. Wait, wait. Sorry to cut you. You said let's not attribute it to malice, but attribute it to ignorance. We got to sit with that. That is so powerful. The next time somebody drives badly in front of you, this person is just ignorant. They know how to get me. They're just ignorant. They don't know me from Adam. They're just ignorant and just keep you moving. Wow. Thank
I'm
you.
actually recently learning how to drive and I'm about to take my road test soon. So pray that I pass because I don't want to do it again. But there's been so many instances where, for example, I'd have a green light and someone's like, I'm going to do a 3-point turn right now. And so I have to like just stop. But I instead of me thinking like they just want to like ruin my day and make me miss the green light, a lot of the times they're like, they're not looking and they're just hoping you're looking and just be like, I come from the perspective like, oh, thank goodness I was paying attention so that I don't hit your car, and just focusing on what you can't control. You can't control the other drivers around you, but you can be a defensive driver and really pay attention and to the people around you and seeing like, okay, this person looks like they're trying to veer into my lane. And sometimes you just got to also just let sometimes you have to just let people win just for your own safety. So yes, if you're actively fuming, pull over, breathe, do the box breathing, humming to calm yourself down and come back in. But also just remember that a lot of the times people are just not paying attention, and that's really part of the reason as opposed to them actively being harmful.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to let people win for your own safety. And I think I'm going to even stretch that. Not just safety in the sense of physical safety, emotional safety, because you don't want somebody to take you there. If you sense that what is about to happen, this person is about to take you somewhere before that pot blows up, just like, you know what? Let's remove it. Let me just step away. Let me just keep quiet, you know, for my own emotional safety. Yeah.
And
Good luck,
to
Miss Williams. You're taking lessons in September. Be safe out there.
yes,
Yes,
I
I
know.
am. I'm taking my lesson soon, and I'm hoping to have my son do his lessons later on. So I have to get it together. So fun's been tight, so that's why I haven't done it this summer. So my goal is to just hurry up and get my license. Because I'm ready to go with it. It's been like a long time since I've done it and stuff. Since I had my son, so I'm ready to go and get this done because I have my aunt that are like elderly and they need help to get around and stuff. So that's like one of my goals to just get it done.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
yes. Also, if you're learning here in New York City, be confident that you're better than most drivers on the road because they're
Oh yeah,
strict.
yeah. I am from New York.
Okay, this has been another great section. For those of you that were not in our first and second section, we have the video uploaded in YouTube. You can just send us a text, an email, and I'll share it with you. It's already shared with the people on our WhatsApp chat. group where I send blast information all the time. If you want to be a part of that, just send us a message. We'll add you to that group and you can get a broadcast regarding recording. So this one is being recorded too, and I'm going to share it with everyone maybe in a week or so. Already? So thank you
Yes.
very, very much, Florence. I want to say another thank you to Mrs. Weiderman. Thank you for taking the time and sharing with us from your wealth of knowledge. This was really good. I was taking notes and yeah. I don't know if anyone else. Let me see Dr. Coney here. Dr. Coney from the board of director. I thought she was here. Oh, she's here. Yes. Dr. Coney, you want to give a closing
No,
remark?
just hello, everyone, and have a great week. And prayerfully reach your goals.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all those that have been coming to this platform forever. And I want to acknowledge those that are coming for the first time. Mr. Leslie, we see you. Thank you so much. Miss Small, Miss McMillan, she left. Thank you. Miss Williams, I don't know if you've been here before, but thank
No, this is my first time.
Wow, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
And the
thank
team from
you.
Nigeria, thank you for joining us. And all of our regulars, Beverly, Rosie, Pauline, all the way from North Carolina, Sheila from North Carolina. Oh, we have a secretary on the line. Madam Secretary, I know you said something earlier. You want to say hi to everyone? And I see our student, our summer youth student, Sylvia, and Miss Michelle, one of our wonderful volunteer and supporter. Thank you so much.
Mr. Grace.
Oh, Miss Grace. I saw her, then she disappeared. Is she still here? I know she was here earlier. I
I'm
miss
still here.
her. Yeah, okay, I see you. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us. All the way from Florida. Are you still in Florida?
No, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back. Okay, Miss Madam Secretary, you want to say something before we close out?
Great job. Great job, Florence. As always, very informative. We can always do more things to be more effective and more efficient in our personal life and in our lives elsewhere. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Florence, you want to do can you share the slide for the making a connection so I can just make that announcement and we're gonna close out. Oh, I'm Miss Pauline, our honorable member. Yes, you are. You're always on the platform.
I wanted to also note that our next session will be on relationship skills in 2 weeks.
So that will be the fourth Monday. Okay, this is our newest program at the Loan Foundation. It's called Making a Connection. Have you been in US for less than 5 years? Do you need help with any of the following? And are you between the ages of 15 and 24? Then you want to reach out to us as the Loan Foundation. We support with mentorship, academic support, career development, health, and financial literacy, community integration, community education workshop, free workshop anywhere in the city, in New York City and Long Island, and also helping you with your future planning and integration into the community. So if you feel like you have any connection in any of the schools in New York City and you feel like they will need our support, please reach out to any of the Relume team and we'll be glad to come over and support. So again, thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. This webinar will not be what it is without you. You will make it happen. And thanks to our presenter. So the last part of this will be next in 2 weeks.